Welcome everybody to our, I don't know, this Peace Walk has been going on for many, many, many years. It was started by a group of veterans and passed on to the Women's International League for Peace and Freedom. It passed on to a group of Buddhist groups, and then it passed on to a few of us who wanted to keep the tradition going. So why are we here? Why do we need to acknowledge That day, 79 years ago, when the United States dropped the first atomic bomb on the Japanese city of Hiroshima. Most of you were not even born then. I was. I was 13. A friend of mine was born on the day that the bomb was dropped on Nagasaki, 2 days later. His mother was so glad because it ended World War II. Did anyone know then what hellish destruction and suffering it would cause thousands of children and women and men for generations after that? We know now. We do not want it ever to happen again, which is one reason that we're here. And why people all over the world, especially in the city of Hiroshima, are gathered today to remember. We are one of many ceremonies across the world at this moment. We send them our caring. We open our hearts to connect with theirs. In August 1965, I was 13 years old. I saw photographs of death in Life magazine. I spent the rest of that summer writing a long poem in which I imagined myself the sole survivor of a nuclear bombing. But I couldn't imagine the horror. This evening we will hear stories from 4 Hiroshima survivors, hibakusha as they are called. We need 4 volunteers to each read one of these stories. Jennifer has copies of them.
Are we supposed to bring them?
Yes.
We have them.
Bring them,
Well,
Neville has
but
them.
I might have them on my phone.
Are they in the car?
no,
They are
they
in the
need
car.
to be on
They're
paper.
in the car.
They are on
I-
paper in the car.
They're in paper in the car.
Well, we need to pass them out now.
Neville,
Okay?
yes, they want them now.
Anyway, we will get those. And there's a number on each of those stories, which is the order in which they are to be read. And in between each story, there will be metta prayers. We have come together in the face of divisiveness and distrust everywhere, in what feels like chaos, environmentally and politically, in the violence of many wars and the violence of nature that we have unleashed. I have lived in Plainfield for 56 years, and never has my town and others suffered such devastation. And never have so many reached out to help. A photo on the front page of the Times Argus last week showed a group of Mennonite women in their skirts and bonnets, tools in hand, repairing the porch of one damaged home in the village. They did not ask whether any Mennonites lived in Plainfield. They responded as compassionate human beings to the suffering of other human beings. Likewise, a group of Southern Baptists volunteered to help without asking if any Southern Baptists lived in Plainfield. Seeing each other as fellow human beings working together, this is peace. Peace in oneself, peace in the world, said Thich Nhat Hanh. When you create peace in yourself, You can bring it as an offering, as a gift to the world around you. I'm going to lay down my sword and shield, we'll be singing a little later. I'm going to lay down my sword, my anger and wishing others ill. I'm going to lay down my shield, my self-protectiveness and defensiveness that distance me from others. This laying down, this letting go is not easy. It makes me feel vulnerable. I need you to help me do this. This is why we're here, to create peace together. A peace that can embrace, not ignore, grief and fear. To witness each other's commitment to peace. To sing and share and walk in peace together. And Mary will talk about walking in peace.
So we could, Linda, we could pass out these stories, and
But these to be read.
these are to be read at the State House. But
Well-
did you want them distributed now?
No, there's no time.
Okay.
All right, well,
They need numbers.
Yeah. fair enough.
welcome. Welcome. Thank you everyone for coming out this evening. It's probably the coolest August 6th that I can remember. Makes a huge difference, regardless of the cloudy skies. Our practice in the next few hours is to embrace what I call a paradox in life. Clearly, we are gathered here on the occasion of commemoration of a horrific use of a hydrogen bomb, atomic bomb on a civilian population. But in order to be genuine peacemakers in the 21st century, we have to really also be able to hold the fleeting beauty of life, birdsong, goodness of ordinary people, beautiful sunsets. We have to be able to hold that paradox. To me, that is a lot of what my Buddhist practice involves. In the next half hour, while we're walking, is an opportunity not to talk about peace, not to imagine peace, but to be peace. This is a method, a meditation method, where we walk in such a way. We're told that the earth is our mother. Now, we all have different mothers, but we want to walk. We're also told that the earth, Gaia, is a living being. So we want to walk in such a way that we're caressing the ground beneath our feet. We are grounding our awareness in the soles of our feet, and that is all that we become focused on. We become our steps, our peaceful steps. It is natural that boredom comes up. If a thought of boredom or doubt, what good is this? You don't want to reject that. You want to embrace it. Just as if your child came along, you'd want to take the hand of your child. You want to give that thought a lot of your love. Because the way I understand boredom, it's often an inability to be attentive, to attention. So it's very, very natural that those thoughts will come up. With every step, we're going to enter the present moment. And the present moment is really the only time when we're fully alive. Most of us are in the future. We walk, like it was the end of the world, rushing. But this is an opportunity to really slow down and to appreciate something as simple as being able to walk on the earth. And I also have been told by others that We can actually heal the earth by the way that we walk. To me, I understand that fully after having visited the home of Thich Nhat Hanh, Plum Village, the beautiful plants and gardens. It's a lot like the kingdom of heaven, the beauty there. And it's because of the practice, the people's practice that they bring to that land. Okay, we're going to, what? Okay. We're going to encounter a few crosswalks along the way, but basically we're headed towards State Street. We'll be crossing State at Capitol grounds to head to the church. There will be 70, at 7:15 Christ Church, there'll be 79 tolls of the bell. And we will gather there on the green, and whatever speaks to you, certainly the world needs our prayers, our meditation, our hearts. To me, when I come back to my breath, grew up Catholic, it's much like the Holy Spirit. But whatever your practice is, but we can use that time while we're listening to the bells by following our breathing. Now we may get to the church a minute or so before, or we may be a minute after, but we'll be stopping there until all 79 bells are invited. And after that, we'll head down State Street, and we will cross again to go to the State House lawn, or we may be on the upper tier of the State House because of difficulties with the sound system, inadequate, whatever. Joseph was a bit frustrated when I left him, but we may have to be off the grass, which is a little bit unfortunate. So, and this is a silent walk. Please silence any devices that you have. And Jennifer and I will be carrying the banner, and we'll set the pace. So again, come back to your steps and ground all of your concentration, your mindfulness, your awareness in your steps. And again, thank you for being here. Thank you.
And the 79 pealings of the bell is one for each year since the bomb was dropped.
please form a circle. Thank you so much.
Yeah, okay, great. Well, welcome everybody. Thank you for coming. I'm Joseph Gaines and I'm going to host this. Unfortunately, I have to stand this way because the power source is over there and this is only this long. But I also want to thank Peter for coming to my rescue because I couldn't get the sound to work until he arrived. So thank you, Peter. So can I speak a little louder? I certainly can. Let me see if I can get this a little louder. How's that? Is that better?
Yeah, fine.
Is that good for you, Glenda? Okay. Okay, so I'm just going to give you an overview of what's going to happen today. Before I get started, I want to thank Jason Baker for being with us today and leading us in song. I really appreciate your coming. What's that? If I keep it in front of my mouth, okay. Okay. I'm not used to this. My PA doesn't work, so we had to borrow this one. Okay. One of the things that I learned having gone to Japan a few times to commemorate Hiroshima and Nagasaki with Hibakusha, survivors of the bombings, is that while their stories are very serious and somber, and they take them, of course, tremendously seriously, the events that they host to commemorate the bombings are generally pretty joyful. I'm always amazed at how the human spirit is able to continue to survive even though it experienced hell on earth. So while we remember the moment that so many people died in a flash and the horrible war that led up to such destruction, let us all remember that the Hibakusha themselves, they survived and they carry on because they believe in life. And so here we are, believing in life and carrying that idea forward into the future. So let me just give you an overview of what we're going to be doing. We're going to be reading some Hibakusha stories. They've been, of course, abbreviated for the ceremony, but and they're not easy to listen to. But again, as I say, these are people who still celebrate life. And then after we do that, we're going to be asking for people's responses, and that'll be what we call popcorn style. If you feel moved to speak, just do so. We have a remote mic right there. Peter has it. So if you wish to speak into a mic, remember to do this because I'm not remembering it. And you can do that, or you can just speak without a mic. It's totally up to you. So we're going to be doing that, and we ask you to share your thoughts, any experiences that you might have that you feel you want to share. And of course, brevity is the soul of wit. We would like everybody to have a chance to speak, so we ask you to be as brief as you can. And then I'm going to introduce Jason. And then after that, we're going to sing several songs that Jason's going to lead us in. And then we're going to have some poems. Neville and Mary are going to be reading some poems for us. And then after that, we're going to speak about our intention, again, totally up to you, totally volunteer, about how you think you might promote peace in the coming year. What might you do or say or not do and not say in order to promote peace in the coming year? We have some quotes about from Václav Havel and Howard Zinn that are going to be read about hope. And then we're going to conclude the ceremony, and we will be led out, okay? So thank you very much. I now invite...
Come together a little closer. I think it will help us hear each other.
If you could close in a little closer, it might be helpful.
Joseph, before we start, could I just say something?
Please do. Here's the mic.
Okay. After each story of 4 different hibakusha, we will. Oh,
Just point it at your face a little closer.
It is. Just
Okay.
hold it up to your
Neville and I are going to alternate in offering some metaverse. Meta is was taught by the Buddha. It's akin to a prayer. And before and after each of our metta is offered, I will be inviting the bell. So I ask that the second reader doesn't start with the story until the bell. There's been a metta, and then the bell is invited. So thank you.
Thank you, Mary. I forgot about that piece. So, reader number 1.
Let me hold it for you. Okay. Excuse me. Mikishimasa Michi Hirata, Hiroshima survivor. August 6th, 1945 is a special day for me, as it were my second birthday. On that day, at the age of 9, I was A-bombed in the living room of my house, located about 1.2 miles away from the epicenter in Hiroshima. All of a sudden, brilliant flash hit above my head. It changed the city of Hiroshima thoroughly. The scene that developed afterwards was beyond description and just like a hell on the earth. Since then, referring my experience of the bombing on that day, I have been explaining that nuclear weapons are inhuman and indiscriminate weapons, quite different from the ordinary weapons. I dedicate my life and time appealing for a nuclear abolition to those who do not know about the A-bomb, especially to the young generation.
May all beings be well. May all beings be safe and know an end to fear. May all beings live with ease.
Koji Ueda, Hiroshima survivor. There are 3 hibakusha in my family, namely my mother, my sister, and me. My mother, who was 26 years old at that time, rescued the injured victims and escaped from the bombed city carrying my 2-year-old sister on her back. My mother often told me that the scene at that time was not the scene of something on earth. The swollen faces could not be recognized due to the burns, with 20 to 100 centimeter burned skin dangling down from the top of the fingers. When we offered our hands to the injured persons for help, their skin peeled off. Since there was neither medicine nor doctors, the only thing which my mother could do repeatedly was to wash the wounds with water and wipe them. Due to the hot summer, our wounds were infected with maggots, and the maggots had to be taken off with chopsticks. What the rescue persons could do was only to speak helpless, encouraging words. The corpses of the victims who died one after another were gathered in a dry riverbed and burned by pouring gasoline on them. Among such corpses put in the fire were those who were still breathing. They burst into yelling and finally passed away.
May all living beings, near or far away, especially those who have endured the bitter wounds of war, may they heal in their body and in mind. May they know deep peace and great calm.
Reiko Yamada, Hiroshima atomic bomb survivor. On August 6th, the day when Hiroshima was attacked with an atomic bomb, the hot midsummer sun was blazing down since early morning, and no cloud could be seen in the sky. We got to school at 8 and lined up in rows on a schoolyard for the flag signaling drill. As food was scarce those days and children were not fed sufficiently, many fainted one after another under the scorching sun. Eventually, we were told to rest for a while in the shade of the trees. Boys who remained in the middle of the playground shouted, "Look, a B-29, pointing at the sky." Around that time, U.S. B-29 bombers often flew over the city. Whenever they came, an air raid alert siren sounded, so a B-29 was a familiar sight to children. I looked up and saw the silver shining B-29 plane flying high in the blue sky, drawing a white arc with its vapor trail. That's pretty, I thought. The next moment, I felt a white flash. As I began to rush for an air raid shelter, the hot sand from the sandbox blew strong against my back and pushed me down to the ground. When we reached the shelter with my schoolmates, it was already crowded with people from the neighboring areas, and there was no room left for us. Soon we got drenched from the sudden rain, which we later learned to be the radioactive black rain. We cuddled up to keep ourselves warm, but we were shivering with cold. The sun looked to be gone, with heavy gray clouds hanging over the sky. May all beings attune within. May all beings listen for the cries of the world. May all beings' kind intentions be realized.
Junko Watanabe, Hiroshima survivor. On August 6, 1945, at 8:15, my mom was at home with my younger brother. My elder brother and I were playing in the yard of a temple near my home. Then my mother felt a strong wind, a terrible wind, and she saw burnt papers falling in front of our home. My mom was surprised and she came to get us at the temple. At that moment, the black rain began. The rain was black and sticky. Before the bomb was launched that August 6th, the weather was nice in the morning, and they say that the atomic bomb exploded 580 meters above the Earth. Then, since it exploded high above, it does more damage with its hot rays and hot wind, which burn people. After the bomb exploded, all the dust and papers flew upwards, and then came the black rain with radiation. After being exposed to the black rain, my body had this condition. I suffered from diarrhea every day. I could eat, but no nutrients remained in my body. They all were lost, everything that I ate. My parents thought their daughter would die. In fact, I was only 2 years old, and I cannot recall any disastrous scenes. I, being a survivor, have fortunately had no physical problems, although there are many doctors who say that the effect of the radiation also shows up in future generations.
May you and all others who survived the horrors of atomic warfare, may you heal in your body and your mind. May boundless peace and love fill your days.
We now invite anybody who cares to share a thought or experience, a poem, a song, or anything that's appropriate for the occasion.
In my 20s, I saw a documentary film called In the Fog of War. Apparently, there was a Secretary of War working for Kennedy or such McNamara, maybe? McNamara. Yeah, well, he was speaking frankly about his service to our country and the contemplation of firebombs. And that was kind of the first time that I had sort of thought about the way in which warfare is conducted on civilians, other than some study of World War II. But I've been thinking about that more and more, and I lived through the experience of 9/11 from the perspective of a 19-year-old kid in Boston serving in the guards. And I've been struggling to come to terms with our history, and I eventually have found my role in evenings like this where I'm walking the path of the advocate.
I'm not typically the best storyteller, but I'll do my best. There is a story, and it was an adapted for children by Thich Nhat Hanh. It was called The Coconut Monk. And he lived, a Buddhist monk, and he lived throughout the years of the war. And he lived high in a tree, in a platform, a tree house. And he was a bit eccentric, but he opened a practice center for people to come in the midst of the war, breathing, walking. But he collected the remnants, the shells, the debris of the bombs and bullets, and he forged bells. He forged mindfulness bells. And he, again, kind of an eccentric fellow, but he walked from the Mekong Delta to Saigon, a long walk, a long trip. And he carried with him a cage, and in the cage there was a mouse and a cat. He took very good care of his cat, so the cat would not feel it needed to eat the mouse, very good care, whatever. And he walked to the president's palace in Saigon. I think it was President II, whatever. And the guards would not let him see the president. And he said, well, please give the president a message. If a cat and a mouse can coexist in a cage, walking days to come here, why can't the human beings coexist harmoniously? And interestingly enough, John Steinbeck's son, John Steinbeck, I guess, was a rabid supporter of the Vietnam War, his son not. But John Steinbeck, I think the fourth, was one of his biggest supporters and students. But again, if you have grandchildren, it's called, the book is called The Coconut Monk, and it's beautifully illustrated, Thich Nhat Hanh, but it is a true story. Interesting person.
I have a poem to share, and it's also the lyric to a beautiful song by James Taylor called Belfast to Boston. And it was written about the troubles in Northern Ireland and their path to peace. But I think it applies anywhere at any time. If you have a chance, look it up. You'll find it on YouTube, I think, and have a listen. There are rifles buried in the countryside by the rising of the moon. May they lie there, long forgotten, till they rust away into the ground. Who will bend this ancient hatred, will the killing to an end? Who will swallow long injustice, take the devil for a countryman? Send no weapons, no more money, send no vengeance across the sea, just a blessing of forgiveness for my new countrymen and me. Missing brothers, martyred fellows, silent children in the ground. Could we but hear them, would they not tell us, time to lay God's rifle down?
So it is my hope that someday in the future, humanity will become so evolved that war will no longer exist. The idea of war will become obsolete. And the people of that time will look back and wonder how people could even think that they could solve problems by killing each other, that this will be completely incomprehensible. And I hope that day will be sooner rather than later.
I was struck by what Mary said in the beginning about being able to hold both the joys of life while also recognizing the terribleness of war, hatred, and so forth. And one of the ways in which I try to be able to balance those two is at least once a day to remember that there has been never a day in my 81 years when there was not at least one war going on. And we needn't go any further than Ukraine and Gaza. And at the same time, I have to continue to take pleasure in my family, my friends, and my activities, and to be able to hold both of those things, maybe not at the exact same time, but in the same day, in the same place. So Mary, thank you for articulating the way that I've tried to do this myself.
And songwriter here in Vermont. And he agreed to participate in today's ceremony.
All right, I'm going to use this mic because it's a little bit louder. I think you can all hear the banjo, right? It's a banjo after all. So we're going to actually start with a song that I wrote shortly after the beginning of the Russian invasion into Ukraine. At the Kyiv airport, there's a plane, the largest airplane in the world at the time. It was built by a Kyiv company, and it had started its life hauling Soviet space shuttles. And then, after Soviet space shuttle wasn't really a thing, as you might notice, it ended its life doing humanitarian missions. It spent the last 20 years of its life flying huge supplies of food and medicine around the world. And when people saw it coming, they would have some hope that something good was going to happen, I would say, because they might actually get fed, get medicine, have energy, could bring generators, things like that. It was so big. But it was destroyed in a battle at the Kyiv airport. This is a little low, okay? So, the destruction, the plane was called the Maria, which means dream in Ukrainian. And so from that image of this plane flying help around the world, I had this song. Now I'm going to teach you the chorus, which I was requested to do. And if I can jump in. A dream of a world where sunflowers bloom. If we dream a dream of peace, we can make that dream come true. You want to try it? A dream of a world where sunflowers bloom. If we dream a dream of peace, we can make that dream come true. That's it. We'll get to it. Once there was a dream of peace, and it flew around the world. It dreamed itself in every heart, and there a flag unfurled. A humble rag proclaiming love and peace for humankind. From heart to heart the dream flew on, and left something behind. Here we go. A dream of a world where sunflowers bloom. If we dream a dream of peace, we can make that dream come true. A dream of a world where sunflowers bloom. If we dream a dream of peace, we can make that dream come true. The dream of peace, it flew away, escaping the drums of war, yet left a grain in every heart, waiting for a dawn. And when the light is left to shine, the seeds of peace will grow. Sunflowers live in every heart, where love is free to flow. A dream of a world where sunflowers bloom. If we dream a dream of peace, we can make that dream come true. A dream of a world where sunflowers bloom. If we dream a dream of peace, we can make that dream come true. We can make that dream come true. You can try singing that. We can make that dream come true. There you go. Thank you. Thanks. I think one of the things after all that heavy stuff we just heard is to remember that if we raise our voices together, that's kind of reminds us we're all in this together and we can have hope. And these are all songs of hope. That was a song of hope. This next one is also, let's see if I can get it in tune. Well, let's hope we can get the banjo in tune. Oh yeah, we're going to need a little help with the tuner. And doing this because we don't want to actually sing this whole entire song out of tune. That would be disrespectful to the songwriter. There we go. Next we're going to do a John Lennon's Imagine. It's right next on the page. You can sing along to the whole thing if you want. Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. No hell below us. Above us only sky. Imagine all the people for today. Imagine there's no countries. It isn't hard to do. Nothing to kill or die for, and no religion too. Imagine all the people living life in peace. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only know someday you'll join us, and the world can be as one. Imagine no possessions. I wonder if you can. No need for greed or hunger. A brotherhood of man. Imagine all the people sharing all the world. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will live as one. Beautifully sung, folks. Give yourself a round of applause. Go ahead.
Sunflowers are here.
Sunflowers are here, that's true. That's all right, I got it. It'll stay. All right, we're going to flip the page and we're going to do an old gospel tune together. Sorry, I just needed a drink. So we're going to sing this the correct way. We're going to start with lay down my sword and shield. Ready? I'm gonna lay down my sword and shield down by the riverside, down by the riverside, down by the riverside. I'm gonna lay down my sword and shield down by the riverside and study war no more. I ain't gonna study war no more. I ain't gonna study war no more. Ain't gonna study war no more, no more. I ain't gonna study war no more. I ain't gonna study war no more. Ain't gonna study war no more. Gonna shake hands around the world. I'm gonna shake hands around the world. Down by the riverside, down by the riverside, down by the riverside. I'm gonna shake hands around the world. Down by the riverside and study war no more. I ain't gonna study war no more. I ain't gonna study war no more. Ain't gonna study war no more. I ain't gonna study war no more. Ain't gonna study war no more. Ain't gonna study war no more. I'm gonna walk down that road of peace. I'm gonna walk down that road of peace. Down by the riverside. Down by the riverside. Down by the riverside. I'm gonna walk down that road of peace. Down by the riverside and study war no more. Last chance to sing. I ain't gonna study war no more. Ain't gonna study war no more. Ain't gonna study war no more, no more. Ain't gonna study war no more. Ain't gonna study war no more. Ain't gonna study war no more. Amen. All right, folks. All right, we're going to end now with a Tom Paxton song. There's another sing-along if you want. It's very easy, but we're going to do it twice just to make sure everybody gets it. So we're going to start with the word peace. Peace, peace will come. Peace will come, and let it begin with me. And let it begin with me. We need peace. We need peace. And let it begin with me. Oh, my own life is all I can hope to control. Let my life be lit for the good of my soul. Let it bring peace, sweet peace. Sweet peace, peace will come. Peace will come. And let it begin with me. And let it begin with me. All right, let's do it again. Peace, peace, peace will. Peace will come. Peace will come. Let it begin. and let it begin with me. We need peace. We need peace. And let it begin with me. Oh, my own life is all I can hope to control. Let my life be lived for the good of my soul. Let it bring peace, sweet peace, sweet peace. Peace will come, peace will come. Let it begin with me. And let it begin with me. Now sing peace. Peace, peace will. Peace will come. Peace will come. Let it begin. Keep going. Peace will come. Keep it going. Let it begin with me. Try this. Peace will come. Yes, peace will come. Oh, yes, peace will come. And let it begin with me. Peace will come. Yes, peace will come. Oh, peace will come. And let it begin with me one last time. Peace will come. And let it begin with me, with me, with me. Thank you. Beautifully sung, folks.
Thank you, Jason.
Thank you.
Okay. I just want to mention, you probably know this, Jason, that the sunflower is the symbol of nuclear weapons abolition, and that comes from when the Soviet Union disbanded, that Ukraine, which was a part of the Soviet Union, became an independent nation, and they gave back their nuclear weapons to the Soviets and planted fields of sunflowers where the missiles once stood. So that's become the international peace symbol of nuclear disarmament. Okay, well, we're nearing the end, and we're going to be asking you all, but first, we have two poems. Neville and Mary are going to read them.
Yes, let me get my glasses. Okay, thank you. This poem was written by Thich Nhat Hanh. It's a little shorter than the other one that I was going to read, but it was written in the height of the war when many of Thich Nhat Hanh's students were being murdered and raped, students of the School of Youth for Social Service who were going into the rural villages and rebuilding clinics and people's homes, planting crops. People lost a lot. And these were very brave young people, extremely brave. And they were, a number of times, they were shot. Women were raped in the middle of the night. And he wrote this poem fearing for how their consciousness would be in the moment of death. If they would meet death with compassion, which would be hard to do in a situation like that, or if they would meet it with hatred. He was very, very concerned about how they would be at the moment of their death. It's called Promise Me, and I'll do my best. Promise me this day, promise me now, while the sun is overhead exactly at the zenith, promise me. Even as they strike you down with a mountain of hatred and violence, even as they step on you and crush you like a worm, even as they dismember and disembowel you, Remember, brother, remember, man is not our enemy. The only thing worthy of you is compassion, invincible, limitless, unconditional. Hatred will never let you face the beast in man. One day, when you face this beast alone, with your courage intact, your eyes kind and untroubled, even as no one sees them, out of your smile will bloom a flower, and those who love you will behold you across the 10,000 worlds of birth and dying. Alone again, I will go on with bent head, knowing that love has become eternal. On the long, rough road, the sun and the moon will continue to shine.
Thanks. The poem you heard earlier, Belfast to Boston, was the poem I had to share. So I think unless someone else has a poem to share, I think we are done with that segment.
Whoops, sorry. Now's the time if you care to share with us what you think you might be doing in the next year to advance the cause of peace. What you might be doing, saying, not saying, whatever. Whatever comes to mind, whatever you think you'll be able to do. And this is popcorn, meaning when you feel moved to speak, please do so.
And I will invite the bell after each person expresses their intention. So wait before you share. There'll be one sound of the bell in between.
A practice I've been doing lately that's helpful. That helps me get a visceral sense of what it is to be hungry. A lot of people right now in the world and in Gaza and so many places are dying of hunger. If for whatever reason my meal is late, if I'm feeling quite hungry, I try to use that discomfort as a way to be in solidarity, to remember what people are experiencing at various places around the world, along with the pleasure of these bodies, of enjoying a good meal, of enjoying being alive. And it's a way to ground myself. It's one way to touch into the whole spectrum of experience, what it is to be human. Thanks.
I am going to try very hard, especially as we go in to this election season, to not other the people who are on the other side of the political spectrum from me. I'm going to try very hard.
I'm going to try and write more peace songs for people to sing together.
Great.
That are fun, hopeful, and I think that is going to be the contribution that I can help to, and hopefully bring people together with that. When you sing together, as we just heard, we need less division. So when you sing together, it's hard to fight.
One of the things that I too often find in discussions of peace is an absence of the discussion of justice. I'm reminded that Pope Paul VI in 1964, when he spoke before the United Nations, declared to the world body that if you want peace, work for justice. And that's racial justice, economic justice, political justice, environmental justice. So whatever we do in that regard, by promoting justice here in our communities, in our state, or if we're lucky, nationally or internationally, we are working for peace.
My intention is to cultivate more curiosity about all of you, everyone, and in order that I not be consumed with blame or judgment, and curiosity about my responses or reactions of blame and judgment, so that othering becomes a thing of the past for me.
It's no secret that I had a number of pretty hard years. And I was very good. I burned a lot of bridges with friends, really good people. Feeling very alone as a caregiver for my son. And now, looking back, I'm 70. I'll be 71 soon enough. I intend to write some letters. Letters, in practice, you'd call it regret, beneficial regret. But I can't undo the harm, but I'm going to write some love letters to some dear friends from the past that I hurt a lot. So.
Like Therese, I find this election year a challenge to being non-judgmental, to being compassionate, to being curious, as Jennifer says, to not let the energy of anger consume me, because that energy spills out into the world, and it doesn't create peace. It doesn't do anything constructive but help to divide us further. I will try to keep that energy out of my thoughts, not only out of my mouth, but out of my thoughts, so then it will not come out of my mouth.
We have two poems that are going to be read about hope. The first one is from Václav Havel, whom you may know was a playwright in Czechoslovakia, spent many years in prison in resistance to the communist government, and when that communist government fell, became the first president of the Czech Republic. Jennifer?
What I'm going to read, I want to preface with the story of Thich Nhat Hanh working to help rebuild villages in Vietnam that had been bombed. There was one particular village that was bombed, and he rebuilt it. And then it was bombed again, and he rebuilt it. And it was bombed again, and he rebuilt it. And Václav Havel says, either we hope or we don't. It's a dimension of the soul. It's an orientation of the spirit, an orientation of the heart. It is the ability to work for something because it is good, not because it has a chance to succeed. The more unpropitious the situation in which we demonstrate hope, the deeper the hope is. Hope is not the conviction that something will turn out well, but the certainty that something makes sense.
Statement of hope is from, of course, Howard Zinn, who was an Air Force bomber pilot in the World War II, became a historian and a teacher, his most famous book being, of course, The People's History of the United States.
To be hopeful in bad times is not foolishly romantic. It is based on the fact that human history is a history not only of cruelty, but also of compassion, sacrifice, courage, kindness. What we choose to emphasize in this complex history will determine our lives. If we see only the worst, it destroys our capacity to do something. If we remember those times and places, and there are so many, where people have behaved magnificently, this gives us the energy to act and at least the possibility of sending this spinning top of a world in a different direction. And if we do act, in however small a way, we don't have to wait for some grand utopian future. The future is an infinite succession of presents, and to live now as we think human beings should live, in defiance of all that is bad around us, is itself a marvelous victory. Thank you.
That's the end of our ceremony. Thank you all for coming. Jason, thank you so much for leading us in song. And remember, have hope, work for peace, work for justice. Thank you.
Thank you.